So as we were addressing things that we wanted to address all over the car, before I put this shock on, I went to address an issue that I've had up here for a while. Just underneath the sealer, there was a rust hole, so I just cut the whole section out, made a new panel up. You've seen enough rust repairs to last your lifetime over the last couple of months. While the welder was out as well, I smoothed over any of the holes that are in this leg, so I can, when I paint the whole lot up, it's going to be smooth. So I'm going to sand all this down over at some point when I do the engine. I'm going to remove this bracket off here as well. This is originally for the airbox. I did remove this one. I've just ground it back because I didn't put enough protection over it when I'd done it. I'd only done it quickly. So I'm going to remove this as well so that whole section's smooth, so the air filters just can sit in there and look decent. Another thing I'm going to do is address this issue with the aero catch. You see on this side I welded in a plate, and this side is on the original. So there you go, the inner wing, just sanded it all down quickly. That section up there now, it's all repaired, no rust up there. For some reason it's only the SRI turbos that have the problem up here. I've got GSIs and they don't rot up there. It's only a little bit underneath between the seam, but I don't know why the SRI turbos do it, the GSIs don't. Anyway, just went over it, a little bit of filler, filled in the weld holes along here as well, so the inner wing's all nice and smooth. Another thing a lot of people have been asking me to do is like tucking the wires. So I've been meaning to do it for a while, just ain't got around to doing it. So I've pulled the wiring out this inner wing and I'm gonna tuck it round here and up here instead, so that this wing is all clear. It makes sense because most of the stuff that just goes through these holes into the inner wing anyway, so I might as well just route it around to the inner wing, and I can bring it, the ones that need to go up to here to the electric window motor down here, and this plug and a few other little bits, they can just come through there, you won't even see them, so that wing will be nice and smooth. Gonna cut this section out here as well, so it's nice and flat because this is too high at the minute. That's why you see I've had to hammer it down, just ain't got around to doing it. So I'm gonna cut that round there, and I'm gonna weld in a panel for the aero catch. So I know a lot of people, you like to know what products that I'm using. I always try to use the best stuff. I love Opel stuff, Everlast is good as well. The Opel grey stripe is the best seam seal I've ever used. I've used a ton of them. You can see I go through tins and tins of this stuff. The Isopon, this is another Opel. It's the P38. Really easy to sand. That's why I like to use this stuff. As I say, there's tons on the market, but I just try to go for the ones that I get on with the most. So yeah, that's what I'm using today. So this is what I mean about the turret on the GSI. As you can see, this one's obviously, because it's my show car, I've had all the seam sealer, I've removed everything, so there's no seam sealer, so it's all nice and smooth. But you can see there's absolutely been no rust underneath that seam sealer at all. And for some reason, all the ProDrive cars, this part here rusts. I don't know if the seam sealer weren't put on properly or something, but yeah. So you can see I've pulled out the header tank and all the bits that need to be pulled out along here. I've unclipped all the fuse boxes and stuff, so I'm going to work it out as we go. So I don't know what I'm doing yet, I'm just going to work it out as we go, try and tuck it in that inner wing. So I'm currently just removing parts at this wing just so I can see where the wiring goes. I'm just going to do this as I go because I don't know what I'm doing yet with the wiring. So I've moved the header tank out of the way already. I'm going to move the ECU from that inner wing. Going to move this wiring that goes along here. Everything is going to try and get it into this inner wing so it's nice and smooth. Going to try and move that fuse box, try and move them into there. As this is my track car, I can put holes and chop bits and move bits, so I don't have to worry. I might have to extend some wiring, but we'll have a look as we go. So I've just removed all this plastic that wraps around the wiring that sits underneath the header tank, and it's funny to see how some of this taping is from the factory. They think you ain't going to see it, so they don't bother with it. But literally, someone's done this by hand, obviously. And the taping, even from the factory, is dreadful. But I'd expect better from a 6-year-old kid taping up some wiring than they do from the factory. They don't bother at all. So yeah, we're going to cut that out, and we're going to try and separate this loom so I can pull this stuff back. So I'm going to start stripping all this tape off and see what we can separate. You can see this wiring's got like loads of loose wiring everywhere, so we might have to take off the coating, might have to take off the plastic shielding, don't know yet. So I'm undoing the brackets to get this ABS pump out. I'm going to take it completely out while the brake lines are drained. Might as well take it all out. So I'm going to take off all these brake lines quickly. I've undone it off the bracket. Took this top of bracket off because I want to get down here to the loom. I'm probably going to unbolt the loom from the bulkhead, and I'm probably going to go into the side of the turret down here with a big grommet, and then that way it's going to be well out of the way. You won't even see it. So I think that's the best option. And these are all going to go up here. I already had a look. They're going to go. I'm going to drill a hole in the bottom of this, put a grommet in there, take this plastic cover out of the way, and we're going to get rid of that nasty wiring, and this is going to look so much tidier. Eventually I'd like to get rid of that header tank as well, move that out of the way, and that would look great, but we're not going to do that right now. We're just going to sort out the wiring. We can do that in the future. So the pump's out of the way now, so it's got a lot more space in there. Don't need to move the bracket, but you can see now I can get to the bolt. This is the bolt in here, down there, focus, down there. That you can see that bolt there bolts through to the bulkhead. So if I undo that, this whole loom then comes off. Also, now I took it off the ABS unit, I can replace this complete brake line. This one goes down into the passenger side brake caliper, so I'm going to replace that. You can see where it was around the chassis leg. This part of it's all white, so I might just join it there. Not sure, I'll have a little look. Well, the loom's out now, so look how nice that's going to be when that's done. Look at all that space there that's taken up by the loom. Literally all that sits here is a header tank. Rest of all this is loom. So this is where I want to go down, around here. I'm going to put a nice big hole in there. You're not even going to see it. Put a nice big grommet in there. All that loom can then go in that inner wing. So yeah, let's get to stripping this loom down and see what we're dealing with. So this is what the loom looks like out the car. It's not very complicated at all. This is an easy part. This section up here, up to about here, is really easy. You can tuck that, no problem. This is the part that we've got to concentrate on, this 2 or 3 foot up this section. So I'm going to strip off all this coating, start getting rid of the tape and try and separate some of these wires so we can tape them up and move them. Some might have to be cut and rejoined. So I'm going to get to stripping that down now and have a little look. So once all the shielding and the tape's all stripped off, this is basically what we're left with. I'm going to start separating all these bits up now. You can see, going to tape all these wires together so I know what I'm dealing with, and then get this bulk of the loom down to as small as I can. Then I can work out what grommet size we need to go through. Obviously I might need to extend some wires. These I'm going to put the loom back in when it's taped back up, and then we'll work out where I can get these through and where I can get these through up to the back of the bulkhead. So I've separated the loom now down to its basic functions. So you can see that's the ABS connector, and this is the bit that goes to the bulkhead that goes through into the cabin loom. And then I've separated the fuse box relays, so you can see I've stripped them back so we've got a nice long length now, so I should be able to get that up there. I've also done the same with all the rest of the plugs. This is this part that attaches to the power up the engine loom. So that's going to be moved as well, and I'll extend that on the loom. And these are the fuses for the fuse box in the engine bay. These are probably going to need to be extended because, as you can see here, the cables are not very long. But till I get them in, I won't know. That's the power, the one that goes to the battery. But while this is off, I'm going to take the opportunity to extend that. And that way I can power that straight up from my battery relocation connector. And then you can see up to about here is going to stay inside the engine bay, so that foot there, and then this section here is going to go through the inner wing. So we've only really got, well, I'm going to have to get this through because I'm not going to deepen it. So the width of this is about the width that I'm going to do the hole. That's not going to have to be massive, and I'll get that through separately. And then the rest of it, that can all stay like that. So this is for the coolant ECU as well, so that's going to have to go through. I will strip this down when it's inside the engine, but that's the section I wanted to get done. So I quickly just laid the loom through the engine bay, and I worked out that this one is in the right position. You can see how far back it is to the connector. The closer to the connector, the better, because that sits proud of the bulkhead. Problem is with this one, with the main fuses, it sits too far forward, you're going to see it. And I want to go into the grommet about here, so this is too far forward. So what I'm going to have to do now, I'm going to untangle all these wires. There's going to be 2 wires that go off down here. They're going to have to be extended, but for now I'm going to bring this section, these, back to around about here. So I'm going to have to untangle them all. Well, that's a lot better. So I've pulled out a load of pins, and you can see now how close I've got it to the connector. So it's folded right the way back, and now we've only got this wiring as the neck that's going to go through the grommet, which is nice and tidy now, so you ain't got none of these power cables. So you can see this is about the width that the grommet's going to be. These are all obviously going to be compressed down like that, and it's going to work out, it's going to be about the same sort of size as that, because that's obviously got to go through the grommet. I will take that connector apart to see if I can get it through separately. I can make the grommet even smaller. But you can see this is going to go into the bulkhead like that, and then this wiring is going to fold downwards and back on itself. So that's going to be as close to the bulkhead as possible, because as you can see, that sits quite proud of the bulkhead, which does move it a bit further up than I would have liked it to. So the only connections that need to be extended are these 2, because obviously they've got to now meet up here. So they've got to be extended maybe 12 inches or so. But don't worry about the way that you get these round. These can literally not be put in the wrong slot in here, because if you look in there, all the different gaps along there, they're all different. It's quite a clever design. So you can't put these connectors, you can't put that blue one there, you can't put that green one out there. They all go in the right positions. So last night I was thinking, how can I make this loom even tidier? I wasn't happy with the way that connector comes so far off the bulkhead. It kind of defied the point of having the wire tuck. So I thought, well, let's put everything, the fuse box, instead of putting it all up in here, where I was going to put it, let's put it into the car. So if I put it into the car, it's all going to be nice and waterproof. This can then go into the inner wing. So I'm going to cut that hole out there larger, and then that can all run around there. That's simple. I've got one connector that's obviously got to come up here to the ABS pump. And then the ABS unit itself should hide that wiring behind there, so you won't even see it. So this is what I mean about the ABS pump hiding the wiring. So if that wiring comes out of there, because the pump's in the way, this is my GSI, you can see that it should hide it from the top of the car. And you can see all that mess that we're getting rid of, all this, that's all going to be gone. So obviously, if it works out sweet, I'm going to do exactly the same to this car. So that's pretty much the section we're talking about at the back now. Now all we've got here is the ABS cable, which is going to tuck behind there, you won't even see it. This is for the pump itself, for the power steering pump. That will then go in the car as well, because that goes to the fuse board. That will allow then that earth, and also the earth that went to here, and all the battery, that will be in the car as well. So literally the only logistics we're going to need to deal with is this ECU connector. So that's going to obviously go back like that way into the car. I've pulled it out in a minute so that we can get an idea of how big the hole needs to be. That's going to go back into the car, because then that will mean the engine loom can go into the car, and it will look so much tidier, because I can't be having all this wiring and then bolt an ECU back on here. So the ECU would then be in the car, everything would be in the nice and dry. This is going to look really, really nice when it's done. This side's going to have absolutely no wiring on it at all, so that's going to look nice. This side's now pretty much smoothed out. I want it all filled up, not going massively extreme with it. This is the car that I went really extreme on. You see both sides welded everything up, so literally both sides are smooth. I left that one in because I was going to put a clip underneath there, which is quite annoying, but the good thing is the headlight covers that. But other than that, it's all smooth. The parts are building up in the back. It's turned from a quick refresh into the jobs that needed doing for a long time, so it's something that we needed to do. And I'm really happy that I'm getting on with it, because normally if it's middle of summer I wouldn't be bothered to do this sort of stuff, but springtime, getting ready for this season, might as well get all these bits done, get them out of the way, and that way we can enjoy the summer. So I'm just enlarging that hole now, that one that was down there for the indicator and the ABS cables and everything. So I'm just making this bigger now. Because it was already a hole, I couldn't just hole saw it. I've got loads of hole saws, but I can't fit them in there because it was already a hole. Sometimes normally I'll weld a little bracket across there so I can drill back through, but I'm just going Gonna open it up with a drill bit with a burr on it so I can get that in there. So if you're wondering why is he doing this, basically I just always want to test myself. I always want to try and be the first. I've never seen it done, and I like to use my brain and try and work things out myself rather than just going on Google doing that. If it's on Google, I normally won't do it because I always want to try and be the first. So never seen it done on an Astra Turbo before. No OPC models with all the ABS stability control, everything like that. So if you're looking forward to seeing this finished, I'm going to try and get this video up for you now. Trying to get a bit more regular uploads, just for you people to keep you entertained rather than waiting a week between uploads. So I'm going to get this up for you now. Join me in the next episode. Smash the like button. Thank you.